So, has the music stopped for Solana? After an incredible run, the price has slammed into a wall, and with some worrying signs flashing on the charts, a lot of investors are asking the same question. Is the party over for 2026? We're at a do-or-die moment for Solana, and all eyes are on one critical battleground, the support zone between $80 and $100. This area has pretty much become the last line of defense against a much deeper, more painful correction. If this level breaks, we could see a serious downturn that shakes out a lot of holders. But if it holds, this might be the buying opportunity people have been waiting for. We're going to break down exactly what the charts are telling us, looking at the case for the bears, the scenario for the bulls, and our long-term outlook for where Solana could be headed. So, if you're holding Solana, thinking about buying, or just trying to figure out this crazy market, you need to see this. The stakes are incredibly high right now. We aren't just talking about a small dip. The patterns forming could set the tone for Solana for the rest of the year. A clean break below this critical support could kick off a wave of liquidations, sending the price to places we haven't seen in a long time. On the flip side, if the bulls put up a strong fight here, it could signal the correction is finished, paving the way for the next major rally. This is where the market's conviction gets put to the test. The Fear and Greed Index has already tipped into fear territory, which tells you just how nervous everyone is. Every single move from here on out matters. So, let's get into the charts, starting with the scenario that has everyone on edge, the bearish case. Right now, the bears are definitely in charge of Solana's short-term trend. The price is trading below key moving averages, a classic sign of weakness. With the price currently under the 50-day and 200-day simple moving averages, sellers have the upper hand, pointing to bearish pressure across the board. But the technical damage might go even deeper. We've seen a break of a multi-year ascending trend line, which is a major blow to the long-term bullish setup. This shift toward a more bearish market structure has bulls worried. On top of that, some analysts are flagging a potential large-scale double-top pattern that formed near the old highs of around $250 to $295. If that pattern plays out completely, it could theoretically lead to a devastating correction down to the $40 or $50 range in a full-blown bear market. Let's focus on the immediate fight, though. The most critical support is a cluster between roughly $76 and $100. The $100 mark is a huge psychological floor that traders are watching closely. Below that, analysis points to the $80–$85 area as a critical zone. A breakdown here could open the door to the next major support around $74 to $78. If selling pressure really picks up and we lose $80 support, we might see a rapid slide toward the $67 low from February. One analyst even suggests a 20% downside risk if the $78 demand zone is broken. This is because a break of such key levels can trigger cascade liquidations, where forced selling pushes the price down extremely fast. To make matters worse, the Relative Strength Index, RSI, is also signaling bearish momentum, having fallen into bearish territory. To put it simply, the trend is weak. Key support levels are under fire, and several technical patterns suggest the risk of more downside is very real. A failure to hold that $80–$100 zone would confirm this downtrend and open up targets first in the 70s and potentially much lower. Now, for every bear, there's a bull. Despite the obvious short-term weakness, it's not all doom and gloom for Solana. The path to a bullish comeback starts exactly where we left off, defending the current support. A strong bounce off the $80–$100 zone, backed by a surge in buying volume, would be the first sign that bulls are stepping back in. If support holds, the first major hurdle is taking back lost ground. The price is currently staring at a wall of resistance levels. The first key barrier is around the $88 to $90 mark. A solid close above this zone could set the stage for a steady climb. Beyond that, the next big test is in the $95 to $102 range. But the real test for a true bullish continuation is smashing through the formidable $180 to $190 resistance zone. Clearing that area would cancel out the immediate bearish pressure and signal a major breakout, with analysts then looking at targets of $200 to $225 and beyond. But this isn't just wishful thinking. The bullish case is supported by Solana's incredibly strong fundamentals and major upcoming catalysts. The ecosystem continues to show signs of health, driven by massive institutional adoption. Plus, two major upgrades are on the way: Firedancer and Alpenglow. Alpenglow, which is rolling out now, aims to bring transaction finality down to under 150 milliseconds. That's nearly instant. Firedancer is a longer-term project that promises to crank up Solana's capacity to over 1 million transactions per second, which would drastically improve network speed and reduce the risk of the outages that have hurt Solana in the past. These aren't just small tweaks, they're game-changing enhancements to make Solana faster, cheaper, and more reliable. On top of that, a landmark decision in March 2026 by the SEC and CFTC jointly classified SOL as a digital commodity. This regulatory clarity has stabilized long-term investor sentiment and removes a major hurdle for a potential spot Solana ETF. After Bitcoin spot ETFs attracted huge inflows, a Solana ETF could bring a similar wave of institutional money. Combine this with a robust DeFi ecosystem, where the total value locked, TVL, recently sat at a healthy $7 billion, and you have a powerful mix of fundamental drivers that could ignite the next big rally. We've covered a lot of ground, breaking down the intense battle between the bulls and the bears. If you're getting value from this detailed analysis and want to stay updated on Solana and the broader crypto market, take a second to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It helps the channel immensely, and you won't miss our future deep dives. This is where things get really interesting, because when you zoom out to the long-term forecast for 2026, the predictions from analysts are all over the place. On the bearish side, some forecasts say that if a true bear market sets in, Solana could fall back to prices between $30 and $81. This is based on crypto's history, where even the best projects can see massive drops of 85% to 97% from their all-time highs. Considering Solana's mind-blowing 1,500% rally from the 2022 lows, a serious correction is a scenario you can't ignore. Wallet Investor, for instance, has a more conservative forecast, with an average price hovering in the $81 to $132 range for 2026. On the other hand, the bullish crowd is painting a much brighter picture for 2026, with price targets from $150 all the way to $350, and some even floating $500 under perfect market conditions. This optimistic view hinges on all those fundamental drivers we talked about: a successful Firedancer rollout, a booming ecosystem, a recovery in the crypto market, and a flood of money from a possible spot ETF. Looking out even further to 2027 and beyond, the forecasts generally trend much higher. As the network matures and if Web3 keeps growing, projections for 2028, 2029, and 2030 get incredibly bullish. By 2030, many analysts see Solana cementing its place as a top smart contract platform. Projections from different sources see a potential price range of $250 to $400, with some very bullish targets around the $1,000 mark. And then there's the hyper-bullish scenario, like one from investment firm VanEck, which modeled a potential price of over $3,200 by 2030 under the absolute best market conditions. Of course, these long-range shots depend heavily on Solana navigating huge challenges, like fierce competition and the ever-changing world of regulation. Alright, so what's the bottom line? Solana is at a pivotal crossroads. In the very near term, the pressure is on. The battle is raging at that critical $80 to $100 support level. A break below could lead to a swift and painful correction toward the 70s, or even lower. That is the #1 risk right now. However, the long-term fundamental picture is still incredibly strong. With game-changing upgrades like Firedancer and Alpenglow on the horizon, increasing institutional interest, and newfound regulatory clarity, the foundation for future growth is solid. For the bulls to take back control, they have to defend current support and smash through the heavy resistance overhead, especially around the $180–190 mark. While the short-term chart looks pretty scary, Solana's long-term value is very much intact. This is a classic high-risk, high-reward asset. The volatility isn't for the faint of heart, but for those who believe in the technology, the current price action might just be some turbulence on a long-haul flight to much higher altitudes. That's my take on Solana. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your price predictions for the end of 2026? Are you buying this dip, or are you waiting for more proof? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, please like the video and subscribe for more data-driven crypto content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.